Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Well, the story tonight is a huge fire, the second largest fire in the state of Texas history. This fire in West Texas has been raging for 2 days. It's become the second largest fire, like I said, in Texas history. It's in the Panhandle, in the region there. Several new fires keep popping up. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has upgraded the Texas State Emergency Operations Center readiness level that allows for more resources to be deployed to the impacted areas. For a time, the residents from north of Amarillo to 2 hours south of the city complained that the smell of smoke to the point that the air quality in Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas, became classified as unhealthy for individuals to breathe. With local support pouring in and donations being made to help those that are impacted, that were displaced by the fires, here's what we know and how you can help. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. The fires rage all over Texas, into Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma as well. We have many updates going up into Oklahoma and Kansas. There are red flag warnings in northern Texas, going up into Oklahoma and into Kansas as well. We have numerous red flag warnings. Red flag warnings mean that there is, and these high winds and humidity conditions make it prevalent for fire. At any point in time, all there has to be is a lit cigarette tossed out of a car or a hot exhaust, the dry brush in the area, and you instantly have a fire that can quickly spread to a wildfire. We urge everyone to be cautious. These red flag warnings are all the way up into Iowa as well. Red flag warnings go over into just south of Davenport, Iowa, into Bloomington, Illinois, south of Bloomington, Illinois as well. Red flag warnings all over the area. Red flag warnings also into Missouri, into Arkansas, this whole area all the way over into Tennessee. High winds and fire danger throughout the area. Everyone should be careful. I've seen videos, I wish I could show you tonight, of fire trucks that are storming through the highway system right between fire. Fire on both sides of the road and heavy smoke where they can hardly see anything. The streets and highways have been closed in the areas where the fires are. You are urged to stay out of the fire area. Where are the wildfires in Texas and how big are they? There are currently 5 active fires in the Texas Panhandle region, according to the Texas Fire Map. The largest one is in Smokehouse Creek, north of Amarillo, Texas. It's 30,000 acres, also with 60% containment there. The Windy Deuce fire is 142,000 acres with 30% containment. The Magenta fire is a 2,500 acre fire with a 40% containment. The Reamer fire, 687 firefighters there. 2,000 acres, 10% contained. Now, I want to explain so you can get a better idea, since I can't put maps and pictures up here. What is the Texas Panhandle? The Texas Panhandle consists of 26 counties that border Oklahoma and New Mexico on the northwest side of the state. These areas are somewhat heavily populated. Amarillo has a population of over 200,000 people. The Environmental Protection Agency of the United States is reporting Amarillo air quality classified right now as good and is forecasted to remain the same throughout today. As for Lubbock, Texas, south of Amarillo and the Panhandle region. The air quality is moderate with the advisory to limit outdoor activities. The air forecast predicts Lubbock air quality to return to good status later today. I'm going to give you ideas of how bad this area is. Nearly 1 million, that's 1 million hectares in the European language. How can you help? I'm going to detail that as well in just a second. Pantex is open for normal operations after wildfires threaten the nuke weapons plant there. An evacuation order was lifted from Mesilla Park, the subdivision near Amarillo's after fire. Wildfires are burning more than 580,000 acres in the Texas Panhandle, and they prompted the evacuations in that area. Governor Greg Abbott has issued an emergency declaration as well on Tuesday, yesterday, listing 60 counties in the Panhandle area. Elgins, Wichita Falls, including and directing state resources to aid firefighting. This additional resources to be deployed to the affected areas through the Texas Department of Emergency Management. He also instructed Texas State Emergency Operations Center on readiness for Level 2 escalated response. These are the biggest wildfires in Texas history. Complex fire in the Texas Panhandle was the largest fire. The fire started March 3rd, 2006, and consumed over 970,245 acres. The Smokehouse Creek fire is currently the second largest fire in Texas history, which scorched 306,000 acres. These names are selected by first responders, incident commanders, and dispatchers that responded to the fire. How did the Smokehouse Creek fire start? Officials are not sure yet exactly how that fire started, but that the weather conditions in the area have aided in the spread of the fire. We don't believe that anyone has died in the Texas wildfires so far. We have no reports of injuries or death from the Texas wildfire so far this afternoon. Now, I'm going to detail right now how you can help. There are numerous things that you can do. I want to preface that right now. There's many ways that you can help. A number of organizations and community members have stepped up to offer aid to the residents of the Panhandle fire in Texas, including the Amarillo National Bank, which has pledged $1 million today, along with other donations. Here's how citizens can help. The Amarillo National Bank gave $1 million and is collecting donations for wildfire relief. That is the Amarillo National Bank. The City of Borger, B-O-R-G-E-R, is seeking donations for snacks, non-perishable foods, hygiene items, diapers, wipes, formulas, first aid supplies, pet supplies, and blankets. The American Red Cross has opened shelters in the Johnson Youth Center at 1201 Bulldog Boulevard, and also the Wheeler Activity Center in Wellington, Texas, at 501 Corsicana Street, C-O-R-S-I-C-A-N-A, Corsica Street, 501 Corsica Street. A group on Facebook called the Panhandle Wildfire Recovery Resources and is offering help to residents in the ongoing wildfire area. Members are offering support for livestock shelters, monetary donations, and more. The Wheeler Fire Department is seeking donations for Gatorade, Propel water, energy drinks, hydration powders, eye wash, facial wipes, chapstick, and pain relievers, window cleaning, and snacks, including jerky, nuts, crackers, and protein bars. Monetary donations can be sent via Venmo at Wheeler-VOLFIREDEPT, via Venmo at WHEELER-VOLFIREDEPT. HF&C Feeds have set up a disaster relief fund and will take donations and stores via telephone. And I would ask everyone to jot this number down if you're interested in helping out. This is 806-866-9801. Again, HF&C Feed Store has set up a disaster relief fund and will take donations in stores or via phone at 806-866-9801. The store is also partnering with Cook's Garage and William Creek Green's High Cotton Relief Fund to help those in need. The Education Credit Union Foundation is collecting donations for the wildfire relief that will benefit the Stinnett Fire Department, the STINNETT Fire Department, the Borger Fire Department, Fritch Volunteer Fire Department, and Hutchinson County United Way. To donate, visit ECU Foundation website, www.ecu-foundation.org/give-NOW/ and select 2024 wildfire relief efforts from the My Donation section in the drop-down menu. Additionally, monetary donations according to the City of Borger and Hutchinson County's Office of Emergency Management through Pantex Federal Credit Union, PANTEX Federal Credit Union, Amarillo National Bank /Borger Bank, BORGER Bank, the Red Cross, the Amarillo Area Foundation, the Fritch Volunteer Fire Department, the Stinnett Volunteer Fire Department, again, STINNET wildfire in Texas. Now, I wanted to say something else. Barbara's asking in the chat, okay, I'm okay right now. I have my good days and bad days recovering from cancer. That's okay. I hope my buddy Don is okay. He recently lost his wife. We love Don. He's a very, very dear friend of ours. Anyway, guys, I also want to talk about the weather. There is a huge storm coming in from the Pacific on the West Coast. The entire West Coast will be involved with this storm, from Washington and Oregon all the way down through California. We have reports of heavy rain coming in, meaning 1 to 2 inches of rain along the coastal areas and valleys. Over in the Cascade Mountains, going down into the Sierra Nevada, is a different story. The Cascade Mountains and the Sierra Nevada are expected to receive not inches but feet of snow, anywhere from 5 to 10 feet of snow. On the east side of the Cascade and the Sierra Nevada mountains, you're expected to see 1 to 2 inches of snow and or rain. Now, this storm is also going to move east, so other areas of the United States will be also fully involved in this storm, and it's a heavy-duty storm. This is probably going to be the biggest storm of this year, so people need to prepare. Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, going down into Arizona, Montana and Wyoming, Colorado, and it's going to move east from there. North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Texas. Now, Texas is expecting some heavy rain coming in tomorrow. Hopefully that heavy rain will help with the containment of the fire. That's what everybody is hoping for. More rain is due this weekend with this storm coming in. This rain will also affect the entire country, especially the northern tier of the United States. The northern tier of the United States has had above normal temperatures. That's going to change starting tonight. Those temperatures are expected to drop into the 20 degrees Fahrenheit level. That's even below 0 Celsius. Okay, it's going to become very cold. It's going to become very cold all along the East Coast as well. Today we've had a rainstorm here on the East Coast. This rainstorm is passing as we speak, and it's going out to the Atlantic Ocean. As the storm passes, the higher temperatures that we had are going to drop tonight into the 20s. High temperatures starting tomorrow will be no more than in the low 50s. The southern state rainfall and storms. These storms may also spark lightning storms, and that's nothing good for Texas. We hope the rain will pound the fire out. But the lightning coming from these storms may start other fires as well. Everyone needs to be aware of that. And with this storm coming through the Midwest into the East Coast, the southern areas may also see tornadoes. With these heavy-duty thunderstorms, they spin out tornadoes. So everyone needs to be prepared for that as well. We've talked about emergency preparedness in the past. I'm asking everybody to be prepared for what's happening. This is only the beginning. Okay? Elena K is asking, where do you think it will be the worst? The worst part of the storm will probably be in the Cascade and Sierra Nevada mountains with the heavy snow. 5 to 10 feet is nothing to sneeze at. That's big time storms. The rain will also cause flooding. It will also cause flooding across the entire country. Okay? It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good at all. Okay? Vinny's asking, will this storm hit New Hampshire? By sometime next week, it probably will hit New Hampshire. Probably about Wednesday time period next week. You guys up in that area of the United States and Canada, you guys are going to see heavy snow. Heavy snow. Emma J says, will it hit the Mississippi? Yes, it will. Okay? In the southern Mississippi areas, and I'm talking Arkansas, Louisiana, well, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and the eastern part, Alabama, Georgia, going into Florida. All of you guys are going to see rain. The central part of the United States, in the northern part of the central United States, and I'm talking Nebraska area, you guys could also see the snow. But south of that, you're going to see rain. 1 to 2 inches probably of rain. And your forecasters and your radio TV stations will probably be already talking about that. It's not going to be fun at all. Okay? Retrex is asking, do you emote from W2? I don't know what you're talking about with W2. Okay? My buddy Don Patoka, who's a mod of mine, also put up our Venmo, our PayPal locations, and also our address. You can send donations and cards and letters to me at P.O. Box 422, Valdese, North Carolina, Valdesc, North Carolina. The zip code is 28690. That's P.O. Box 422, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. We appreciate that. Folks, we keep seeing I keep seeing mods here taking off messages on the chat. Number one, you cannot put sites on the chat. That's forbidden. Number two, you can't use bad language here on the chat. Number three, you can't use capital letters here in the chat. You also cannot use anything but English in the chat. Please do not use any other languages. Only use English, please. Okay? I'm just trying to save you some aggravation. If you want to say anything, please say it in English and abide by those standards. We'd appreciate it. Anyway, guys, Texas is going to get hit hard. They're being hit very, very hard. President Biden tomorrow is supposed to be over in Texas to inspect the border region. We expect the Democrat Communist Party to move out all of the migrants out of that area, so it will look to Biden like nothing's going on. Pantherk says, what was rule number one? Rule number one is no bad language and no websites put on the chat. Okay? So please abide by that. Emma J says, will it get really bad in Mississippi? I expect heavy storms. Heavy storms. We're being told right now by the weather forecasters from both weather.com and also AccuWeather to expect 1 to 2 inches of rain going right straight across the southern tier of the United States. Okay? That's what's going to be. Chrissy just gave us another $100 super chat. Thanks so much for that, Chrissy. We appreciate that. God bless you for that. God bless you very much. We definitely appreciate that so much. Do you guys have any questions about anything we've said so far? I want to make sure you understand what's going on. This is a big story. We've had wildfires in South America. We've had wildfires in Africa. This is just as bad, but worse because it's affecting huge population centers. Elena K is asking, did you see my question? I'm going to go back here. Emma J wants to add her as a mod. Emma, please go to our email site, emergencymanagementassociates. It's not. Go to our email, rltnspdema@gmail.com. Send me an email and also send me your phone number so we can talk. I need to verify who you are and exactly where you're coming from before I can add you as a mod. So please do that. Yes, I'm looking for a couple mods. What's wrong with my nose? It's not what's wrong with my nose. For those of you that need to know what's going on, why I'm on air, this is an air, okay? This is called a cannula that provides me with air. For a lot of years, I was a police officer. Then Glessing is asking, are you in Ohio? No, I'm not. I'm in North Carolina right now. A lot of years ago, I worked as a police officer. During that time period, I was also a police instructor. I was a firearms instructor. I was a weapons instructor. When I wasn't doing weapons instruction, I was out on the street. And I got in several altercations with bad guys. I took some strikes to the chest. As a result of those strikes and also my weapons training from other police officers, my right diaphragm was damaged. My right diaphragm is now paralyzed. That's why I'm on oxygen right now. Okay, that's what's going on. Elena K says her parents were both detectives. Thank you so much for that. God bless you as well as Elena. We appreciate that. But stuff happens. I'm still alive to talk about it. I'm here helping people still. That's why I'm here. Don Patok is also putting something in chat. Please avoid hearsay or rumors. Provide information sources as to the integrity of factual truth matters. Send it to me in email. As the integrity of factual truth matters, posting unverified or unsourced information in the chat is a no-no. Please don't do that. Do I still get hiccups? Yes. Mary Pedersen says hot Ovaltine tonight. Yes, I have that as well. Fred's World says I'm sweet. Thank you. We appreciate that. Elena K says we can talk about Biden is too busy taking care of immigrants instead of his own people. I have to agree with that. Okay. Also, please don't put up antagonistic comments. Those will be deleted as well. Don't harass the mods and don't harass anybody else in the chat. And please don't harass me because you will be kicked off. Don't do it. Fred's World says, do you like cookies? I absolutely do. I love cookies. Our fellow says, I'm a great man. Well, thank you. I don't want anybody putting in anything referring to jihad. Okay, that's a no-no as well. I just removed that, and I will ban you for doing that as well. Don't do it. Susan saying the Girl Scouts, but cookies. We have not even seen any Girl Scouts at all so far this year. Okay, I would love some Girl Scout cookies. You know, those coconut cookies and the Thin Mints and stuff like that. Those are great. William Atten is saying I should be an attorney. I was a cop. I don't want to be an attorney. I have my own ideas about attorneys. My own brother is an attorney as well. Susan says, oops, bye, Girl Scout. I agree. I appreciate you guys. Thin Mints are the best, Susan says. I agree. Elena says, did you ever join the military? No, I did not. Our father asked us all to stay out of the military. He said the military at that point in time in our lives was not the place to be. The military's changed over the years, and I agree. As a police officer, I was not a police officer for San Diego City. I was a federal police officer in San Diego. William says lemon cookies are best. I agree. I associated myself with a lot of Navy and military people in San Diego. I saw what the military was like. I wouldn't want to be a part of the military. I don't have anything against the military. I want to make that very clear. I love our military personnel. I absolutely love our military personnel. They're the best in the world for that matter. We have the best military in the world. Okay? We have a wonderful bunch of allied countries that support the United States as well. Their military people are awesome. Okay? But I don't want to be part of the military. I'm too old for the military now. They wouldn't even take me. Okay? But that's okay. That's okay. Anyway, I want to get on with what we want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about earthquakes. We talk about earthquakes all the time on this program. We have a lot of earthquakes all over the country and all over the world. Most of the earthquakes here in the United States are on the west coast of the United States. Today, where I live, we've had one earthquake here along the east or west part of North Carolina. It was a 1.7 tremor. Now, with a lot stronger than that, people actually felt it. That tells me it was a lot stronger than what they said it was. but a 1.7 earthquake tremor hit here in North Carolina on the western side of the state. Now, I want to start down in the South Pacific. Why the Pacific? Benny says, do you like Wendy's? I love Wendy's, yes. The Pacific Ocean, guys, the surrounding land masses that surround the Pacific Ocean are called the Ring of Fire. All encompassing, they're called the Ring of Fire. Why? Because, folks, that Ring of Fire has a lot of volcanoes in the area. That's why they call it the Ring of Fire. But the Ring of Fire also has mostly earthquakes as well right now. Yes, we have 47 volcanoes presently erupting or getting ready to erupt all over the world. But right now we have a lot of earthquakes in the Ring of Fire. That's why I want to start talking about these earthquakes in the Pacific now. I'm going to start down just south of New Zealand. Today we had a 5.4 earthquake near Macquarie Island, south of New Zealand, probably about 1,500 miles or so south of New Zealand. A large 5.4 earthquake was only 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. Okay. The next earthquake I want to talk about going north is in New Zealand. Folks, this was on the southernmost point of the North Island of New Zealand, Maori Bank, New Zealand. It was a moderate 4.2 earthquake. It was not the only 4.0 plus earthquake in New Zealand today. There were several other moderate earthquakes in and around New Zealand. Most of New Zealand's earthquakes were 3.0 and larger, 3.0 to 3.9, with 3 of those earthquakes being 4s, 4.0 to 4.5 in New Zealand. Okay. There is one volcano in the center of the North Island. Yesterday, there was 2 earthquakes right near it. One earthquake was right centered, dead center in the middle of Taupo Lake, Taupo volcano. It was a moderate 4.2 earthquake yesterday afternoon. Folks, when we have an earthquake like that in the center of a volcano, what do we think? That volcano has magma beneath it. The magma from that Taupo volcano is the reason it was a 4.2 magnitude earthquake. We just had another $20 super chat. I really appreciate that so much. Mary, we appreciate that, Mary. God bless you. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate each and every one of you supporting this channel like you do. That means the world to me. Anyway, going north from New Zealand. Oh, by the way, Taupo volcano is a supervolcano in East Central California, also up in Yellowstone. And there are several other supervolcanoes as well. Going north, Levuka, Fiji, 247 kilometers east-northeast of Levuka, Fiji, we had a 5.0 earthquake. A large 5.0 earthquake in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of that quake. Because it was out in the water, I don't think anybody felt that earthquake at all. Going west, Vanuatu got hit again today. This time it had a moderate 4.5 earthquake in the Vanuatu region. Again, this earthquake, folks, was out in the Pacific Ocean. Nobody felt that earthquake either. A moderate 4.5 earthquake in the Vanuatu region. However, this earthquake was a very deep earthquake, 611 kilometers deep, which means we are going to have a larger, shallower earthquake. A larger, shallower earthquake than this 4.5. This means we're going to have at least a 5.6, 5.7 earthquake hit either in this region or over in Tonga or the Solomon Islands or over in Papua New Guinea sometime within the next 72 hours to 10 days as a result of this 4.5 earthquake in Vanuatu today. A larger, more powerful earthquake. That's what these deep earthquakes cause. Larger, more powerful, shallower earthquakes. We'll see what we see. We're going to see what we see. Now, I'm going to go west. USBS is not showing any earthquakes in Papua New Guinea. They're wrong. There's at least one other earthquake in Papua New Guinea today. It's a 4.8 earthquake. Also in southwestern Australia, there's another 2.7 earthquake there. USGS is not showing that one either. We go over into Indonesia now. Timor-Leste, Indonesia. This is where we had a 5.4 earthquake yesterday. 5.4 earthquake in Timor-Leste, Indonesia yesterday. Today, we had a 4.7 aftershock. This was 31 kilometers deep, pretty much a very shallow earthquake. Going over into Sumatra, western Indonesia. Northern Sumatra, we've had two earthquakes. Number one is a 4.7 moderate quake. This was 84 kilometers deep, still a fairly shallow quake. North of there, a 4.6 earthquake, moderate earthquake, 70 kilometers deep. This is west-southwest of the Banda Aceh, Indonesia area. This is also in the Indian Ocean. Another earthquake in the western Indian Ocean today in the Carlsberg Ridge area. And this is a second earthquake in the Carlsberg Ridge area this week. This is a 4.6 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. Okay? Then, and I'm going to say this right now. USBS is not showing all the earthquakes in Indonesia or the Philippines today. I have to emphasize that. If you're looking at the USGS map, they're lying about everything. There are 3 earthquakes just off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Moderate earthquakes that they're not showing us. We go over in the Mariana Islands region. We have another 4.5 moderate quake. This one is semi-deep. This is 223 kilometers deep. A medium deep earthquake. 4.5 magnitude earthquake in the Mariana Islands region. We go northwest from there, in the area just south of Japan. Okay? A 4.6 moderate earthquake hit there. Also 10 kilometers deep. This is west-northwest of Yukon in Japan. Yukon, Japan. U-K-E-N, Japan. Okay? Again, they're not showing all the earthquakes in Japan either. There's more earthquakes over in the Sea of Japan next to Noto Peninsula. If you remember, we've talked about Noto Peninsula a lot. About 2.5 months ago, Noto Peninsula got hit with a very strong 8.4 earthquake. 300 people were killed and at least 300 or 400 people were injured from that earthquake. We're still getting aftershocks from that earthquake. It's a very strong major earthquake, causing damage that you wouldn't believe. Houses and buildings pancaked. That's why they had so many people that were deceased after that earthquake. Their houses and buildings pancaked onto the ground. Cars smashed into millions of pieces. It's not a joke. It's insane. Wayne's asking what happened. We've already talked about the wildfires in Texas. We're talking about earthquakes now. If you want to find out what we've been talking about after we get off, just go back and look at our entire program from the beginning. You're going to find out a lot of information. Going north in Japan, okay? This is over by Hokkaido. just south of Hokkaido, which is the largest island of Japan. A 4.8 earthquake hit there. This is 56 kilometers deep. Still a very shallow earthquake. Okay. So far, U.S. Czech Peninsula. I'm sure there are quite a few earthquakes. I don't remember how many, but there are several earthquakes between the Kuril Islands and the Kamchatka Peninsula. Going over into the Aleutian Island chain, going east from Kamchatka Peninsula. We go over just 259 kilometers west of Adak, Alaska. This was the largest earthquake of the day today in the world. A large mid-range 5.5 magnitude earthquake. A very strong earthquake, 5.5 earthquake. Now, when I say very strong, a 5.0 to 5.9 earthquake is considered large earthquake. A 5.5 to 5.9, folks, is a very large earthquake. A very large earthquake. This happened in the Baltic Sea, just north of the Aleutian Island fault zone. Nobody felt this quake. Nobody felt this quake. The islands of the Aleutian Islands are very sparsely populated at best. The ocean waters of the sea captured the seismic waves from this earthquake. Unfortunately, one of our mods had to say goodbye to someone here that was naughty, and I'm sorry they were naughty. Going west from that very large earthquake, 163 kilometers west-southwest of Adak, we had another 2.3 earthquake. Then we go a bit north and east, okay? We had another earthquake. Folks, it was a 2.3 earthquake this time. A minor 2.3 earthquake in 163 kilometers west-southwest of Adak. But we go further west, okay? The next earthquake going east is 22 kilometers north-northeast of Adak, Alaska. This was a 1.7 tremor right next to a volcano there. Right next to a volcano there in the Aleutian Islands. Folks, volcanoes all over the world are moving. There's magma movements beneath these volcanoes. Okay? Volcanoes are reawakening. Every one of the volcanoes worldwide are reawakening. Even those volcanoes that USGS had deemed asleep, hibernating, are reawakening. We continue eastbound. In the ocean, southeast of King Cove, Alaska, we have a 2.1 earthquake, and this is in the ocean just south of King Cove. Any seismic waves from that earthquake were also absorbed by the Pacific Ocean. We continue going eastbound into Alaska. This time we stop at a 1.3 earthquake, a tremor. This is an old Ililama volcano. Old Ililama volcano. A lot of people thought this was an extinct volcano. No, it's reawakening. We've had numerous tremors. We've had numerous minor microquakes, and even minor earthquakes, 2.5, 2.3 here. Today, a 1.3 tremor there. Going further eastbound, okay, a 2.5 earthquake. This is just south of Nanowik, Alaska. A 2.3 earthquake there. This is also out in the ocean. Then we go north and west, okay? We go over to Pedro Bay, a 2.2 earthquake. We go north from there. This is a 2.0, Port Alswell, They say it's east-southeast. It's not. This is just south of Mount Redoubt, another volcano here in Alaska. A year and a half ago, Mount Redoubt had reawakened and actually erupted. Now it's sleeping right now for the time being. But it's getting hit with these earthquakes, okay? Another one that's just south of Mount Redoubt is a 2.93.0 near Ninilchik, Alaska, okay? Then we go over to Mount Redoubt itself, a 1.8 tremor there at Mount Redoubt, and north of Mount Redoubt, we have another 2.3 earthquake near Tynek, Alaska. A lot of earthquakes, a ton of earthquakes, guys. These volcanoes are reawakening. In the Cook Inlet, which is a body of water leading out from the Pacific Ocean from the coast of Alaska here, going up in towards Anchorage here, we have a 2.7 near Happy Valley. This is also in the Cook Inlet. Nobody felt that earthquake. It's a minor quake. North of there, we have another 3.0 earthquake. Clam Gulch, Alaska. This is also in the Cook Inlet. Nobody felt that earthquake either. We go north. Funny River, Alaska. It's in the eastern peninsula of Alaska. A 2.1 and also a 2.2 in that same location. We go north. Cooper Landing, also in the eastern peninsula. We go north from there, almost directly north. Another 2.1 in Hope, Alaska. Why am I talking about minor earthquakes? 2.0, 2.9 are minor earthquakes. Because, folks, the seismicity, the strength of these quakes have increased. Excuse me. They have increased from tremors to full-blown earthquakes, minor earthquakes. Right next to that one, west of Hope, is a 2.6, also in the city of Hope, Alaska. Okay? Going westbound back into the Cook Inlet here, near Point Possession, Alaska. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Okay? We go east also in the Cook Inlet with a 2.1 earthquake and another 2.6 earthquake. Then we go up west of Anchorage. West of Anchorage. This is a 2.0 earthquake near Susitna, Alaska. A 2.0 minor earthquake. We go north and east a little bit. Big Lake, Alaska, 2.1 earthquake. Okay.
Location, Mindanao, Philippines, class, moderate magnitude, 5.6, depth, 10 kilometers, 9 minutes ago.
Mindanao, Philippines, guys. That's the largest island in the southern Philippines. A 5.6 very, very large earthquake just hit. Okay. I bet USGS is not going to show that for a little while. Also 2.5 in Willow, Alaska, going north. And also 2.1 just north of there. Then we go up towards Denali, Alaska, southern Denali, Alaska. Denali National Park. A 2.0 earthquake in southern Denali National Park. Then northwest from the big mountain here is another 2.0 also in Denali National Park. And USGS is saying it's east-southeast of Denali. It's not. It's in northern Denali National Park. You can't make this up. They can't even get their directions right. Northeast from there, north of Denali National Park, we have a 2.2 earthquake. And just north of there, 1.8 tremor. Okay? Then we go northeast from there. About 2 weeks ago, we had a 5.0 earthquake in Salcha, Alaska, SALCHA. We're continuing to get microquakes and tremors and minor earthquakes here, aftershocks to that 5.0 earthquake. Today, a 2.3, a 1.1 tremor, a 1.4 tremor, a 0.3 microquake, a 1.5 tremor, a 1.7 tremor, and a 1.0 tremor. Why am I talking about this? Because these are all aftershocks. These are all aftershocks. 7 aftershocks today near Salcha, Alaska, where we had a large earthquake. Okay? Incredible, huh? It really is. It really, really is. Now, I'm only going to tell you about 2 more earthquakes in Alaska. This next one is about 3,000 miles west of Salcha, Alaska. This is near Minchumanina, Alaska, a 2.0 earthquake. 2 other minor tremors going northeast. Then northeast of there, about 2,000 miles northeast of there, a 2.3 earthquake. A 2.3 earthquake. This time, USGS has gotten it right. It's in central Alaska. That's all I can say. They finally got it right. Now, down in the Gulf of Alaska, we just had another 3.5 small earthquake hit in the Gulf of Alaska, 237 kilometers southeast of Chignac, Alaska, in the Gulf of Alaska. Now, before I go into the United States, I want to go over to Europe. Why am I going there? Because USGS has not shown anything there. And I happen to know that there are earthquakes in the Middle East, earthquakes all over Europe, and yet the USGS has not shown any earthquakes there. Over in China, a 4.5 earthquake over in China. Another 4.5 earthquake over in Tajikistan, another 4.4 earthquake in Afghanistan. They're not showing any of those earthquakes. Iran has got a 4.4 earthquake as well. Turkey is an area where last year at this time, we had a major earthquake, a very major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. USGS is not showing any of these aftershocks. They should be appalled. Yes, some of these aftershocks are 1.5 tremors and other tremors, but some of them are also 2.0, 3.5, 4.5 moderate quakes. The citizens of Syria and also Turkey are feeling those quakes. They're trying to recover from a huge earthquake, and yet they keep getting battered. They're going to get battered for years. When we have a major earthquake like they had, of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake, aftershocks are going to continue for years. But USGS is not saying a word about it. Over in Turkey, we have about 15 earthquakes. They're not saying one word about that. Just off the coast of Western Turkey, we have the Durkle Islands. The Durkle Islands belong to Greece. Yes, there are earthquakes in the Durkle Islands today. Most of them are 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8 earthquakes. Going over into Greece, USGS is not showing any earthquakes in Greece at all. There are about 20 earthquakes in Greece. Okay? Unreal that they can't show these earthquakes. Going over to Italy, we have some earthquakes in southern Italy, but we have about 24 earthquakes in central Italy. Most of those earthquakes are tremors, 1.5, 1.0, 1.7 tremors, but we've also seen 2.3, 2.7 earthquakes in that same area. Northern Italy, We've got 4 or 5 earthquakes in northern Italy around the resort areas of Italy on the northwest coast, along with France in that area. Okay, the Riviera, France, and northwestern Italy. Going over into the Alps, Switzerland and Germany area, 1.5, 1.5 tremors, 2.0 earthquakes. All over France, we have about 7 earthquakes all over France. Some of those earthquakes are 1.5, 1.7 tremors, but they've also had minor earthquakes as well. Yes, in the past weeks or so, they've had 3.5 small earthquakes that are felt. They've had upwards of 4.5 also in France. Moderate earthquake that was felt. Earthquakes all over France, including the area next to the English Channel. They're getting hit. They're getting hit hard. Southern Spain was hit with 3 earthquakes there today. The Strait of Gibraltar region was hit with 4 earthquakes, both on the east and the west side of the Strait of Gibraltar. The Azores Islands are sitting ducks for 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes just off the coast of Portugal. We have 2 earthquakes over in the Canary Islands today, just minor earthquakes in the waters of the Atlantic Ocean. No big deal so far. Now, we go out towards the middle of the Atlantic Ocean here. There are islands out there that are related to the Azores Islands. We've had some minor earthquakes out there as well. Going over onto the mid-Atlantic fault north of the Azores Islands, we had a 2.3 earthquake on the North Mid-Atlantic fault today. Okay, the Mid-Atlantic fault is moving. Let there be no doubt about it. That area is moving. Also, the United States Geological Survey is not showing any earthquakes in Iceland at all. However, in the southern Reykjanes Peninsula, south of Grindavik, we had another 2.3 minor earthquake hit there. Now, I talked about this a bit yesterday. If we follow the North Mid-Atlantic fault north from Grindavik, we go towards where a lot of the earthquakes are happening. This is because magma is making the ground rise over there. We fully expect to have another eruption there in Iceland within the matter of days. Also just north of Grindavik at the Svartsenga power plant. The Svartsenga power plant. We talked about this in past videos. The region underneath the Svartsenga power plant. By the way, the Svartsenga power plant is a geothermal power plant. Men have drilled into the volcano here, to the upper magma chambers of the volcano, to obtain steam to power that power plant's turbines. That power plant. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. We lost audio and visual for a little while. We just got cut off. We're back. Anyway, the area just underneath the Svartsenga power plant there in Iceland is raising up. There's a reservoir of magma underneath the Svartsenga power plant. The scientists are now telling us that the area of the Svartsenga power plant could be an eruption. Right now, I do not believe that the Icelandic people have shut down that power plant yet. There is a possibility that it could be shut down, but I don't know whether it's going to be shut down yet. We're going to be monitoring this situation heavily, very closely for the next 72 hours, because I also believe from watching what's going on in Iceland that we may have another volcanic eruption in Iceland between now and Saturday. Okay? That's the history of that. Okay? Cool Boy is saying, what is seismic activity? Seismic activity is earthquakes. Either earthquakes caused by magma from underneath the ground or earthquake waves coming in and attacking various fault lines, both man-made and natural fault lines. Okay? That's what's happening. Okay? But here in Iceland, we have two things going. Number one, we have the Mid-Atlantic Fault, which is expanding. The Mid-Atlantic Fault has been responsible for some of the earthquakes in Iceland because it's literally splitting the country in half. It's splitting the entire Atlantic Ocean in half. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is pushing the North American continent in a southwesterly direction, while at the same time, it's pushing Europe in an easterly direction.
Location, Mindanao, Philippines. Class, moderate magnitude, 5.3, depth 10 kilometers, 9 minutes ago.
A 5.3 earthquake hit 5 minutes ago in or near Mindanao, Philippines. I believe that's on the northeast side of Mindanao, Philippines. A short few minutes ago, we had a 5.5 that was downgraded to a 5.3 as well. So now they're saying we have two 5.3 earthquakes off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. What a joke. What a joke. They downgrade one and then they called in another. Okay. Cool Boy's asking, what is that talking? That's one of my other devices telling me about earthquakes that are going on. NCWQ Explorer says 5.6 in the region of Mindanao, Philippines. Oh yeah, big time. Big time. Mindanao, Philippines is not going to stop, guys. It's just not going to stop. The east side of Mindanao, Philippines sits on a fault line. A huge fault line coming out of Indonesia. That is why they get large earthquakes. And that's exactly where this earthquake is hit. Okay? A 5.6 and a 5.3 have now hit off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. I've now confirmed it. Okay? This is the same area, like I said, that got hit by a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake 3 months ago. And now it's getting hit again. USGS does not even include all of the earthquakes that have hit here already today. Moderate earthquakes. And now we have two large earthquakes, a 5.6 and a 5.3. Okay, that's what's going on there. Earthquakes continue to hammer the region. And it's going to continue. It's going to continue. It's not going to stop. Now, I want to go over to Hawaii first. Then we'll go over into the United States. Hawaii has gotten hit over in Pahala, Hawaii. This is the southeastern part of Hawaii, Pahala, Hawaii. Just about a month ago, 3 weeks ago maybe, we had a very large earthquake that hit there. It was a 5.6 earthquake, and I believe it was stronger than that. A 5.6 earthquake hit that region in Hawaii. This region, guys, is normal. Okay? They've been seeing earthquakes in Hawaii for a very, very long time. This is nothing new. However, it's going to continue. I can guarantee you one thing, it's going to continue. Hawaii is a volcanic island. Okay? They have 4 major volcanoes on Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii. Number 1 is Kilauea. Most of us have heard of Kilauea volcano. Next to the west of Kilauea, we have Mauna Loa volcano. Mauna Loa volcano late last year erupted. Okay? It only erupted for a few weeks and it ended. But I believe it's also going to continue. USGS is not showing any earthquakes at Mauna Loa, but I guarantee you there are earthquakes at Mauna Loa. The magma coming in from the deep magma plume in the southern Pacific is feeding magma over to Pahala, where this earthquake hit today. And numerous other earthquakes have hit Pahala today. Pahala, Hawaii is a distribution point for magma coming up from the South Pacific, where that deep magma plume in the South Pacific is feeding magma from the core of the earth. And the magma goes through the crust, through magma tunnels and magma channels to all the volcanoes around the world. But the Pahala area is like a gas station of magma for Hawaii. It's feeding all the volcanoes with magma. Okay? That's what's happening. I want to make it clear. That's why we have so many earthquakes today in the Pahala region. All right? Then we go northeast. Okay? We go over to the Helena Slump. The Helena Slump is volcanic. It's an earthquake fault, basically. Okay? It goes along the coastline from Pahala all the way up south of Kilauea. The Helena Slump is volcanic. It's a patch of land. And about a year or so ago, there was talk of the Helena Slump sliding off of the Big Island out into the Pacific. They said if it does slide off the Big Island, it'll create a huge tsunami wave that'll go over to southern Mexico and upwards into California, causing a tsunami wave, a very large tsunami wave. Now, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I could be wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But today, a 1.4 tremor hit on the Helena Slump, just south of Kilauea. North of that earthquake, north of that tremor, we had another tremor. This one is halfway between the Helena Slump and Kilauea. Okay? So far, USGS is not showing any earthquakes at Kilauea, which is a lie. There are a lot of earthquakes. There are a lot of earthquakes around Kilauea. Northwest of there, okay, in the fern forest, we had a 2.0 earthquake there. It's 5.2 kilometers deep, down beneath the island in probably the magma chamber. That's why this area gets hit with earthquakes, is because there's a magma chamber there. Okay? In this same area, 4 years ago, we had an eruption or a near eruption at Kilauea. After that eruption settled down, all of a sudden, all the lava poured out from Kilauea, went down back into the earth. Scientists for many days wondered what happened. One other volcano just southwest of Kilauea, or southeast of Kilauea, I'm sorry, called Pu'u'o'o, also drained out. Lava was inside the crater of Pu'u'o'o, and it drained out as well. They wondered what happened to it. A few days after that, all of a sudden, huge fissures started erupting over in Fern Forest and Leilani Estates on the Big Island. Huge fissures, 24 total fissures erupted over there in Fern Forest and Leilani Estates. Some of those fissures are now named volcanoes. That's how much lava poured out of those fissures. They're named volcanoes. There are cones and craters all over that area now. The Hawaiian people named those volcanoes. Okay? In some areas of Leilani Estate, there's some steam coming out of the ground because magma is just beneath the ground. The ground is still warm to the touch. People have to be very careful because if they break the solid lava base that's there, they could step into hot, scalding magma and possibly die. So people are told not to go there. When this volcano erupted like it did with 23 or 24 fissures, people lost their homes. About 1,500 homes were made uninhabitable or completely burned out, because of the lava that had poured out of those fissures. They were given, the people of Hawaii built mini homes for some of those survivors. Other people moved in with their families over on the Big Island. But there were little tiny homes built to house people that lost their homes to the lava that poured out of those volcanoes. Now it's a different story. It's a bit different. We don't have any open fissures there that we know about. But it was bad. Okay? Rebecca says it was a 7.8 earthquake and it caused 5,697 people die. Incredible. Incredible. I'm sorry, Rebecca's talking about that Turkey earthquake. It was a lot larger than a 7.8. It was a 9.0, 10.0, and I showed you the information when we talked about it. I verified it. I verified that. Does anybody have any questions for me so far? Make sure I gave you all the information that we needed to talk about. Take any questions from anybody. I'm happy to talk to anybody about anything they need to know about.
Earthquake upgraded to 5.6 from 5.4. Location, Mindanao, Philippines. Class, moderate depth, 10 kilometers, 20 minutes ago.
Another downgrade. Another downgrade in Mindanao, Philippines. Go figure. Yeah, that's a lot of deaths over there in Turkey. Turkey and Syria area. And just as many people injured, probably more people injured. Okay, there was a lot of people injured. Thousands of people injured. Roger Reynolds is asking, had USBS always not told the truth or just recently? Go back to when I was in college, okay? I admired and looked up to people at the United States Geological Survey. At the time, I believed they told us the truth, okay? But over the years, they're being told by the politicians to do the truth. Don't tell everyone everything. And they don't tell everybody anything now. Usually they omit earthquakes. That's their biggest lie. They completely omit earthquakes, like I've already told you tonight. Why? I've explained this before, but I don't have any about telling you. The politicians are saying the United States Geological Survey and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network not to report the exact magnitude of these earthquakes, not to report earthquakes and not to keep their jobs. If the United States Geological Survey and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network told us exactly the magnitudes of earthquakes that were happening there, up and down the entire west coast of the United States, people would move out of that area. If they moved out of the area, the businesses would lose business and they'd go out of business as well. If people move out of the area and businesses go out of business, who's going to pay the taxes? Who's going to pay the city, the counties? Nobody. With the cities and counties also going out of business, the traffic lights will be out. The services in that area will go away. The roadways will no longer be lost. Just because the politicians are saying, don't report what's exactly going on. Heaven forbid, because if people really realized what was going on, they leave those areas. There are cities and towns up and down the Cascade Mountain Range. There are cities and towns all over the Cascadia subduction zone at the coastline. Many of those fire departments and police don't know anything about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. They don't know exactly what's going on. They're not being told how powerful the earthquakes that are striking their cities and towns are. The agency is not telling the truth. Okay. Linda Covington just put up here in the chat that the United States Geological Survey was originally for oil exploration. Then they got into earthquakes. Okay. That's when the politicians got into it. Okay. Heaven forbid we know the truth. Okay. Politicians want to keep their jobs, so they're telling the Geological Survey, and again, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network in Washington and Oregon, not to report what's going on. I will tell you this. Probably about 20 tremors up and down again, they don't want anybody to know what's going on. There's what they call the slow slip, okay? Tremors up and down the Pacific Northwest, Washington and Oregon, just tremors. The slow slip are earthquakes or tremors that are moving. They're showing movement up and down the cascade megathruster. That's all people are looking at, literally. But today, for example, let me go over right now on the USGS map. Okay, number one, Friday Harbor, there are tremors and minor earthquakes hitting all up and down this area. Okay, then we go over to Mount Rainier. They're showing one microquake west of Mount Rainier. I can guarantee you, if I went to the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network and looked at the seismograms is a printout from the seismogram that is monitoring any volcano or any area. If I went to the seismogram, I could guarantee you to show you minor earthquakes and even small earthquakes at Mount Rainier. Yet they're only showing a 0.6 microquake. That's nothing. All over Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier is being monitored by 10 different seismographs situated all around the mountain. I can guarantee you that there are tremors and earthquakes all over Mount Rainier right now. Again, they don't want anybody to know that because Mount Rainier is gearing up for an eruption. That's what's actually happening. Today, they're not showing any earthquakes or tremors at all at Mount St. Helens, south of Mount Rainier. But I guarantee you, pulling up the seismograms, I can show you earthquakes and tremors all over Mount St. Helens and Mount Adams to the east of there. And south of there, Mount Bachelor. Mount Bachelor, they've not had a seismogram showing for years now. For years. About 3 years ago, prior to 3 years ago, we had seismograms showing the activity at Mount Bachelor, which is also a volcano. Earthquakes and tremors all over that as well. Now they're not showing anything at all, and they haven't for at least 2 to 3 years. We go south from there. Sisters Volcano also in Central Oregon. There's not just one volcano there. It's a complex of 3 different volcanoes that they call Sisters Volcanoes. Sisters North, Sisters Central, and Sisters South. They have one seismograph monitoring all 3 volcanoes. It's showing a lot of activity. Fault line all over the South Central Oregon. A huge alpine lake above it. That volcano has 1, 2, 3, 4 seismographs that monitor that volcano. Every one of those seismographs, I can say without any thought about it, and no, I haven't seen the seismograms today, but I will guarantee you there are tremors and earthquakes hitting all over Crater Lake. Also Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen in Northern California. The Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen are also part of the Cascade volcanoes, the Cascade Mountain volcanoes. Okay? All the volcanoes are very active. Not one of them is inactive, with only a reporting west of Mount Rainier. That's BS. That's totally BS. their seismographic glacier peak several weeks ago. Then about a few weeks ago, they turned it one day and turned it back off. North of there, Mount Baker. Mount Baker is another volcano. They turned some of the seismographs off at Mount Baker. The seismographs that are still operational are showing activity, showing magma pouring into Mount Baker. And one volcano 40 miles to the west, Mount Constitution. Plenty of activity there, but guess what? They rarely show it because we started showing it 4 years ago. And for that reason, they're not showing anything at Mount Constitution. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Chilcotto was asking my age. What do you think I am? How old do you think I am? I'm probably younger than some of you think. And that's okay. Folks, you need to stay on topic. Several of the mods have said that tonight. You need to stay on topic. Talk about what we're talking about tonight. Everything we talked about is very important. Everything. There is not any one thing that's not important. Your lives depend on what we talk about. Okay? We're only talking about things that are important because your lives depend on what's going on. Now, over on the southern side of the Cascadia subduction zone, Northern California, we have two earthquakes there. A 1.6 tremor in Ferndale, California, and also a 2.2 at Petrolia, California. This is the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Earthquakes here, these minor earthquakes and tremors here, doesn't mean that nothing is going to happen. It's also not relieving any stress on the subduction zone or even the San Andreas Fault in the region. The San Andreas Fault connects to the Cascadia subduction zone here in Northern California, just off the coast of Northern California. It also hooks up with what they call the Gorda Escarpment, the Triple Junction area. Okay? When I get a new computer, I'm going to show you this area because everybody needs to know about it. Back in 2019, a professor of geology at Oregon State University said at a seminar in in San Francisco, that it's very possible that when that happens, it's not going to be pretty. The Cascadia subduction zone is supposed to unleash a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. That seismic energy, that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake is going to be felt over in Alaska as well. It's going to trigger in British Columbia. Then there's another fault zone that goes into Alaska. That's why Alaska is going to feel that quake. It's going to trigger that fault zone all the way up into Alaska. It's also going to trigger the San Andreas Fault all the way into Southern California to Mexico. Okay? That's why we're talking about this. It's important. It's very important for everybody to realize what's going on. Okay? Northeast from Petrolia, California, we have Shasta Lake near Mount Shasta. USGS is saying there's a 2.8 earthquake there. Of course there is. But again, USGS usually does not even report this. There's 2.8, 3.5s, even up to 4.5 earthquakes hitting Mount Shasta. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. They're talking about a 2.8 minor earthquake. And yet, if I show you seismograms from Mount Shasta, it would show a completely different story, as well as Mount Lassen to the south of Mount Shasta. A lot of earthquakes hitting, and USGS doesn't talk about it. Heaven forbid. To the southeast from there, Canyon Dam, California. Canyon Dam, California. Folks, this is south of where we had 3 large earthquakes. Okay? 3 large earthquakes. These significantly. Actually hit 2 years ago, I'm sorry. Today, just there, we had a 2.2 earthquake and also another 2.2 twin earthquakes. Okay? I don't remember the name of that lake for some reason. That's weird. Usually I know these things. I don't forget. Anyway, let's continue this conversation. We go south from Petrolia, almost directly south. Willits, California. Willits, California has a 2.3 earthquake here. Willits, California has seen 2.3 and even 3.5 earthquakes and tremors as well. But today, a 2.3 earthquake. South of there, in the Geysers area, Sonoma County, California, there's about 30 earthquakes there. 30 earthquakes in the Geysers area. What's going on there? North of the Geysers is another volcano, the Clear Lake volcano. The Geysers area, guys, is a huge facility. It's a geothermal power plant. That geothermal power plant has numerous facilities all over Sonoma County in the mountains there. Okay? They have a total of 80 turbines there. 80 different turbines that takes the steam from the Clear Lake volcano and turns it into electricity for 4 energy conglomerates, one being Pacific Gas and Electric in California, and one being Rocky Mountain Power in Salt Lake City in Utah. Okay? That's just 2 of the 4 energy conglomerates that are powered by the Geysers facility. We have 30 earthquakes there. 30 earthquakes. Why? Because every drill point, every drill hole that they drilled into the upper magma chambers of the Clear Lake volcano with, every drill hole is being hit by seismic energy. That seismic energy, those earthquakes, shattered or fractured the rock inside the drill hole, causing earth movement. They fractured the drill hole rock, causing earth movement. We have 2.0 minor earthquakes. We have 1.0, 1.2, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9 tremors, all throughout this Geysers facility, all over, because the drill points are getting hit with this seismic energy that causes these man-made earthquake faults to fracture the rock, and they cause earth movement when that rock fractures. That's why there's so many earthquakes in the Geysers area. Okay? Huge area, guys. Huge, huge area. Down in San Francisco Bay. Okay? Let's go back to that talk that the professor of geology had, Mr. Goldfinger. He gave a symposium in San Francisco in I believe it was 2020. Okay. At that seminar, he said that the Cascadia Megathrust earthquake fault would trigger the San Andreas fault. And because of that, anywhere the San Andreas fault goes would also be subject to large earthquakes. Very, very large major earthquakes up and down the San Andreas fault. The further you get away from the fault, the less seismic energy you might feel. However, let's take, for example, San Francisco Bay. That is very near the Cascadia subduction zone. It's about 400 miles. San Andreas Fault goes right down the San Francisco Bay, right down the Pacific. So San Francisco Bay would get hit tremendously. The San Andreas Fault would also trigger the other faults in that area. The Hayward Fault and the Calaveras Fault to the east of there. Yesterday I couldn't remember the name of the fault. It's called the Calaveras Fault. The San Andreas, Hayward, and also the Calaveras Fault, the San Andreas could trigger those other two faults. And all the other faults, 89, at the beginning of the season in 1989. San Francisco suffered a 6.9 earthquake on the Hayward Fault. We saw the damage that happened there. Can you imagine what will happen shore of Tacoma, Seattle-Tacoma area? That's where it's going to hit. Then it's going to go all the way down to Mexico and beyond that. My dear friend Rebecca, NCWQ Worldwide News and Disasters, just said a 3.0 hit in southern Idaho. That also doesn't surprise me, considering what's going on in Idaho right now. Kellen Johnson, so what are you talking about? We're talking about earthquakes now. We talked about the fire in Texas earlier today. Stay tuned to us right now. When we get off the air, go back and listen to this program from the beginning. You're likely to learn a lot of information. Okay? We want to give people the most information they could possibly get. That's why we're talking about this now. Okay? Okay? Anyway, over in the San Francisco Bay Area today, in the Bay, the northern San Francisco Bay, a 1.6 tremor near Santa Venetia, California. Also on the Hayward Fault to the south, a 1.1 tremor in Oakland, California. 1.1 tremor. And that's not all, folks. There's more. South of there on the Hayward, Seven Trees, California, 1.0 tremor there. That is just northeast of Monterey Bay. The USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all on the San Andreas Fault until it gets down to Los Angeles area, Los Angeles, Orange County area, which is false. It's a false narrative. There's always earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault, regardless of whether they want to tell you the truth or not. Now, I'm going to halt right there for just a minute. I want to go down what they call the Garlock Fault. The San Andreas Fault north of LA meets up with what they call the Garlock Fault. The Garlock Fault meets the San Andreas Fault near Fraser, California. The Garlock Fault runs northeast away from the San Andreas. Going up there, okay, we have several other small quakes here. A 0.6 microquake in the Grapevine of California. The Grapevine is a very dangerous area for earthquakes and also for motorist traffic up and down the interstate there. It's very dangerous. I've driven that area many times. North of there, Bonefish, California. We have another 1.4 tremor in Bonefish, California. Why is that? Folks, Bonefish, California is a great big fault zone with volcanoes. There's a huge volcanic field there. That's why that 1.4 hit in Boatfish, California. To the north of there, Porterville, California. It's also a volcanic zone as well. Porterville, California is a volcanic zone. Further to the northeast from Boatfish, okay, we go over to Searles Valley and Ridgecrest, California. In 2019, Ridgecrest, California, on July 4th, had a 7.1 magnitude earthquake. And now we believe it was larger than that, probably close to 8.0 magnitude earthquake in Ridgecrest, California. Today, only tremors. 0.7, 1.6 tremor. Further north, Searles Valley, numerous tremors here. Okay? 1.0 and 1.0 there, twin earthquakes there. We go north, quite a bit north. Little Lake, California. This is a 0.8 microquake. North of there, we continue to move north. Olancha, California. 65 miles north of Ridgecrest, Olancha, California today, a 1.1 tremor. Before and after the Ridgecrest earthquake hit, there were thousands of quakes, probably 10,000 plus quakes all over this area from Olancha, California south, all the way down to North San Diego County. Okay? This whole area was packed with earthquakes. Tremors, microquakes, minor earthquakes, and full-blown earthquakes. Anywhere from 2.0 on up to 5.0 earthquakes, all over that area. Olancha, California, doesn't surprise us that they have a 1.1 tremor there. Not at all. We go further north. Walker, California, a 1.3 tremor there. Why are we having earthquakes in Walker, California? It's all part of the Walker Lane Fault. The Walker Lane Fault stretches from the Gulf of California all the way up here to Pyramid Lake. The Walker Lane Fault today had a 1.3 tremor. A 1.3 tremor. Going north up the Walker Lane to Florestan, California. A minus 0.4 tremor. Why are they calling it minus 0.4? Because, folks, it's in a hillside. The seismic event happened in a hillside. Minus numbers are always famous for being above sea level. That's all the minus numbers are, is an earthquake above sea level. Mammoth Mountain is also rocking tonight. Tremors and minor earthquakes and small earthquakes over at Mammoth Mountain tonight. It's rocking and rolling. Don't ever think it's not. It's always moving. We go south into Los Angeles. Yorba Linda, California has a 1.6 tremor. Off the coast in the Pacific Ocean, southwest of San Clemente, California, a 1.2 tremor there. Folks, let's go back east Los Angeles. Colton, California, 1.2. Okay? That's on the San Jacinto Fault. 0.7 microquake. Not to be there is a 1.3 tremor in San Jacinto itself. San Jacinto, California, a 1.3 tremor. Northeast of there is 0.9 in Banning, California. East of there, a 1.0 in Cabazon, California. Cabazon and Banning area here is all part of the Anza Gap area. The Anza Gap area is a serious area of fault zones that have earthquakes all over the area. The Anza Borrego Desert State Park of California. That park, for the most part, resides in northeast San Diego County. On the east side of the San Andreas Fault, we had another earthquake just happened, a 0.7 microquake. A 0.7 microquake, guys. This is another area of the San Jacinto Fault Zone in the San Bernardino Mountains. North of this earthquake, we had another one in Big Bear City. Big Bear is a volcano. Big Bear is a volcano. This is 14 kilometers southeast of Big Bear. Okay? North and east of there, another earthquake, 18 kilometers east-southeast of Big Bear, a 1.0 tremor. Then we go back down here into San Diego County, 0.6 at Anza, California, Anza Borrego Desert State Park. We go west of there, Fallbrook, California, 0.9 tremor. Interesting, San Jacinto Fault again, at 0.2. We go south on the San Jacinto Borrego Springs, another 0.8. All the way down here, we have two other earthquakes, but all the way down here to Ocotillo Wells, a 1.1 tremor there. Julian, California. Julian, California, guys, is the Apple capital of San Diego County. Julian, California is a tiny town. It's a former mining town. It's in the hills in a very forested area in San Diego County. There are bed and breakfasts. There are hotels there. There are restaurants all over Julian. You can get a hot apple pie, a sandwich, or dinner over there in Julian, but tell them I told you to go over there. It's a wonderful small town there. You can walk through town literally all day long to your heart's content. There's trinket shops, there's hotels, there's restaurants, there are all kinds of things. And in the fall time, you can even pick apples from the trees there in Julian. A great place. Today, a 2.6 and a 1.7 tremor hit in Julian, California. Not to be out of Chocolate Mountains. Over in the valley in the town of Brawley, California. I can guarantee you there are many earthquakes here in Brawley and the Imperial Valley. But USGS is not telling us about all of them. They rarely do. They're not telling us about all of them. Another one, a 0.9 in Brawley as well. Brawley, Westmoreland, Calipatria, the town of Imperial, Bombay Beach, Salton City, they all have earthquakes. I guarantee it. 100 plus earthquakes in the Imperial Valley today, and USGS only shows us like 3. They show us 3 earthquakes. What a joke. Okay? Now, I'm going to go south into the northern part of the Gulf of California. There's a 3.5 earthquake there. 3.5 is a small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. This is in the northern Gulf of California. This is also on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault runs from northern California all the way down through southern Mexico, all the way down the coast of southern Mexico. Incredible. And they're not showing any earthquakes at all in southern Mexico. There are 25 earthquakes in southern Mexico. 25 earthquakes. They're not showing anything. What do you think about that? They're showing 3 earthquakes in South America. One in Colombia, a 4.6 moderate earthquake in northern Colombia. The next earthquake is also another 4.6 in northern Chile. Another earthquake they're showing is a 4.7 in the border region of Chile and Argentina, a 4.7 near Londres, Argentina, 156 kilometers deep, still a fairly shallow earthquake. Going over to Puerto Rico, southern Puerto Rico. Back in 1989, December 26th and December 28th, we had an 8.0, 8.4 earthquake here, southwestern Puerto Rico. Today, there are 3 earthquakes in southern Puerto Rico today. A 2.6 in Coto Laurel, Puerto Rico. That's an aftershock of the 8.0, 8.4 earthquake that hit December 26th and 28th, 2019. Palomas, Puerto Rico, a 2.1. And southeast of there, Salinas, Puerto Rico, 2.2. Now, I don't think the Salinas, Puerto Rico earthquake counts as being an aftershock of the 2 other earthquakes. 2 other earthquakes are closer to where those major earthquakes were. They were man-made earthquakes. 2 major 8.0, 8.4 quakes, man-made, 2019. And we proved it. We proved it. Another day we'll talk about that. Now, Smithbury, Idaho. We had a 4.5 earthquake earlier this week. Since then, we've had 4.3, 4.4, and 3.3, 3.0 earthquakes here. Today, another 3.0 hit Smithbury, Idaho. A 2.3 in Cascade, Idaho, just north of there. South and east of there, Stanley, Idaho. Both of these areas are earthquake fault areas. That's why these earthquakes hit. They are Rocky Mountain fault earthquakes. Okay? Let's go over into the Yellowstone area quickly. Hebgen Lake Estates, west of Yellowstone. Hebgen Lake Estates had a minus 0.1 earthquake tremor. Okay? Actually, it's a minor microquake. Minus 0.1 microquake in Hebgen Lake Estates. In 1959, Hebgen Lake Estates had a 7.1 earthquake. USGS researchers said it's probably more like an 8.0 earthquake here at Hebgen Lake Estates. This is just west of Yellowstone. That size earthquake did not ignite the Yellowstone volcano, meaning that these earthquakes that are hitting in the Yellowstone area today are not going to ignite the volcano. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Probably sometime in the next 200 years, scientists are saying. And no, I don't trust the scientists. I never have and never will anymore. Almost directly north of Hebgen Lake, Townsend, Montana. Townsend, Montana, there is a 1.0 supposed quarry blast. Why do I say supposed quarry blast? Because, folks, the United States Geological Survey says there's a quarry blast when there's no quarry anywhere nearby. The closest quarry anywhere nearby, folks, is far away. Far away. To the tune of approximately 4 kilometers, about 2 miles away from the quarry. I don't believe this is a quarry blast. This is a 1.0 tremor here, Townsend, Montana. Yes, there's an earthquake fault here as well. Okay? USGS tends to lie about that. Where they see a quarry blast, usually there's no quarry nearby. However, not every time. Not every time. Because, folks, today, there was an earthquake near a quarry, not near a volcano, near a quarry. This volcano, guys, was near Butte, Montana, approximately 2.5 miles east of Butte, Montana, 5 kilometers east. It's a 1.4 quarry blast right next to a quarry. Now, I have my doubts even about this. Why? Because, folks, there's a road to the west of there. Usually quarry blasts are not that close to the road. So I question it. Is it really a quarry blast or not? There's a highway there. I truly question whether that 1.4 is a quarry blast. It's probably a tremor here. Yes, there's a large quarry. There's also the town here. Okay? There's a huge town of Butte, Montana here. I've been there. I've been in Butte a long time ago, a lot of years ago. Okay? That's what's going on in Yellowstone. One other just south of Yellowstone, this is near Kelly, Wyoming, a 0.7 microquake, 2.5 kilometers, 1 mile deep. Okay? There's been other earthquakes as well. Central Utah. Actually, before we get there, I want to go to northern Utah. Portage, Utah, 1.1 tremor. Southeast of there, Avon, Utah. Another 1.5 tremor there. That's about 1 mile away from each other. Okay? It's also north and east of the Great Salt Lake. Okay? Central Utah today. This is Milford, Utah. The earthquakes near Milford, Utah, folks, there's a swarm of them. What is here? Why are we getting earthquakes here? The Black Rock Desert Volcano. The Black Rock Desert Volcano is alive and well. Don't ever forget about the Black Rock Desert Volcano. One day it's going to erupt. I have chipped shale apart and found fossils at the Black Rock Desert Volcano. I'm very familiar with the area. I'm that guy who's asking, do you know anything about the Aztecs? Yes, I do. I know a lot about the Aztecs. A ton. Anyway, Nevada's had a bunch of earthquakes as well, okay? Alamo, Nevada, 1.1 tremors, okay? Southeast of there, Moapa, Nevada, 1.4 tremors. All over Nevada with tremors, guys. Beatty, Nevada is the exception. Beatty, Nevada is a volcanic field, okay? That's what's happening there. Southwestern Texas is another place where earthquakes are happening. A large swarm of earthquakes in southwestern Texas. Toya, Midland, Texas, that whole area is shaking. Why? Oil and gas production. 1.6, 2.0, 2.2 Mentone, Texas. That whole area swarms of earthquakes in an oil and gas field. That's why we're seeing those. Oil and gas pumping operations causing earthquakes in the region. This has been going on for about 2 years now. Oil and gas production causing earthquakes. It's very common. Almost straight east, Garden City, Texas, also right smack dab in the middle of an oil field. A 2.8 earthquake there. Falls City, Texas, so far doesn't have any earthquakes, but it might be just USGS not showing anything there. Falls City, Texas has had earthquakes there for the past 2 weeks. One other earthquake I want to tell you about is over near North Carolina tonight. Okay, this is in Colloquy, North Carolina. This earthquake hit late last night at 11:49 Eastern Time last night. This is at the Tennessee-North Carolina border, a 1.7 tremor. Okay, why is it there? Because this earthquake just happened to be on the Eastern Continental Divide. If you see a map of the U.S. USGS here in the United States, on the eastern side of the U.S., you see the Eastern Continental Divide. It's a raised area populated by trees and mountains. It's Eastern Continental Divide. Nearly 4 years ago, we had a 5.1 earthquake just about an hour and a half north of where I live in Sparta, North Carolina. A 5.1 earthquake had a lot of damage. It threw houses off foundations. It broke a lot of property. The shaking broke a lot of property, causing damage throughout the town of Sparta. They're alive and well today, but they're still repairing damage from 4 years ago. Do I have any question about so far? Storm Rider says, okay, I arrived late. Texas, I'm sorry. You can go back to the beginning of our program and check it. We talked about earthquakes, we talked about storms, we talked about fires. Okay? That's what's actually happened tonight, or today, all day long. Do we have any questions? I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. I know we've talked about a lot. We've gone 2 hours here. I've been trying to keep this under 2 hours. Doris is asking how old I am. Guess. You just had your message deleted by one of my mods. I thank you for that, Demon Catman. God bless you. It doesn't really matter how old I am. I'm probably a lot younger than you ever think. Anyway, folks, if you don't have any questions, I want to end this program with a little devotional of my own. That's why I do that. Blake is asking, what about the earthquakes that hit Glax and Hillsville back in 2023? I'm not sure where Hillsville or Glax is. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Linda Covington says, soon to come, newer and better equipment with the EMA here. Yes, we're hoping to get a computer. If anybody wants to donate to that, you can donate either through a P.O. box, which you guys, our mods have put up here several times, or you can send it to our PayPal locations. We have 2 PayPal locations you can send donations to. We'd appreciate that. Okay? We'd appreciate that. Andrew Padilla is asking, am I okay? Chaz is asking something that's off topic here. What do I think about modern apostles? I believe they're modern day apostles. I do. Just like there were apostles in Peter in Christ's time, Peter being one of them. And speaking of which, in 1 Peter chapter 1, starting in verse 3, and I'm probably going to go through verse 8. According as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, although the knowledge of him that hath called us to glory and virtue, whereby are giving us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. And besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and virtue knowledge, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. For if these things be in you and abound, they may make you, that ye shall neither be barren nor unfruitful in the knowledge of our Lord Jesus Christ. I bear you that same testimony as Peter just did. You can have a testimony of Jesus Christ as well. I have a testimony of Christ because I've developed it over the years. I know that Jesus Christ lives. And if you're in tune with him, he will bless you. He's going to bless you beyond measure. I know that to be true. All you have to do is pray and stay close to God. And when you do, the Holy Ghost will bear testimony of the truthfulness of this gospel. I promise you that. I do know it to be true. Jesus Christ is our elder brother. He's our Savior, our Lord and King. And together with God, they created the world that we live in. Before we came here, we lived in the spirit existence, the spirit world. We promised God and Jesus Christ that if we got the chance to come here, we would seek him out and promised to return back to him. We'd find the gospel of Jesus Christ and promise to come back. That's our responsibility today, to fulfill that promise we made to God and Jesus Christ. We can do that. If you don't know who Jesus Christ is tonight, get down on your knees and ask. And I promise you, as a former prophet, an ancient prophet did, that if you truly desire, with true intent, having faith in Christ, the truthfulness will be manifest unto you through the power of the Holy Ghost. And through the power of the Holy Ghost, you shall know all things. I know that to be true. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. If anything happens tonight, anything major happens tonight, we will be back here on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, we'll be back here tomorrow evening, same time, same bat station. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, everyone. I thank you all for being here. I ask the Lord to bless you. I want to thank our mods here. Thank you for all the hard work you guys do. We love you very much. God be with you till we meet again. Have a good night. Good night.